and things like that. I mean, it's like the whole thing's pretty much shot on a green sound stage where the whole studio is completely green, and they're just, there's boxes and all kinds of, fake landscape things they put in there, and then they just use CGI to fill it in from there. So I don't expect any of you to jump into that right away. You certainly can with AI tools. I mean, there's certainly a lot of ways that you can composite. That's what they call it, different scenes, different elements into videos. But the basic use that we're going to go over today is more simply just background. There's other ways that so it's basically like you could film yourself or someone else on camera, and then you can remove the background to replace it with anything you want, which gives you so many more opportunities and options with putting someone in a different setting than maybe they would be with what you have available. There's a really great movie, let me see if I can pull it up really quick, that's talking about, is that my screen? Okay. Speaking of like full green screen sets, I'll just show you like a quick intro to this movie that's, let's see. The entire thing was shot, like I think in Sweden, and the guy it was like a couple actors. They filmed the whole thing in they filmed the whole thing in a like a room this, I think, is even smaller than this. Just to give you like an idea of what. Okay, can you guys see that? Hopefully the sound plays.
Kung Fu so powerful, only one man can master it. The chosen one. When I woke up, I saw the Kung Fu master running towards me.
So
I could feel my body mutate.
There's all these different scenes. It's like this is like an alley. This is, he's like flying through a cityscape, onto like a, it's absolutely ridiculous, the movie, but extremely violent. I'll give you a heads up. But there's a lot of odes to the 80s in it. Triceratops, my favorite character. And there's some examples where like they do a really good job of making it look amazing. I mean, like this whole office is literally just like composites of different images put together, and then they're adding, elements like within the real physical actors to give you like the impression that that's really the place, right?
Blind us to the press.
So, anyway.
You just destroyed.
So one of the key things you'll learn as we go through this is, and this is one of the hardest parts too, is lighting the person, the subject, to make them look like they're actually in the setting that you're trying to depict them in, right? So that's one of the most challenging things because, in a studio environment, the good news is you have a lot of control, but it's also, in some ways, it can be harder to make it look like, say, if you wanted to be on a beach. What's the biggest difference between a studio and a beach? The sun, right? So it's like, how do you replicate that kind of lighting of like being like the sun? Obviously, it's going to be, depending on what time of day it is, you're going to have like one big harsh, light. It's going to be nice and warm, and then the rest of the light's going to be diffused, bouncing off of everything else in nature. In a studio environment, it's a little harder to replicate that, but it's possible. So, they did here. They got like this like a overhead fluorescence, harsh fluorescence. That's one example there of what they did with the lighting. Here they got. Let's see, they got Hitler. He's outside. Like again, like a much harsher light. It's obviously it was filmed in a studio. It's just in the same studio they filmed the other guy, but it's a different way of lighting it. So, so the main thing too that we're going to talk about as far as the lighting goes, and this is the number one trick. You'll notice I have 3 lights set up here right now. So if I was to, so I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig here. Let me see. Actually, let me get you guys a background. Can you guys name where do we want to go? Where should I get? Italy. Okay, Italy, awesome. Let's see. So, Italy. Oh man, so many beautiful places.
Paris would be fine.
Yeah, Paris would be fine. Here we go, I like this balcony. So I'm gonna take this balcony. I'm gonna save this. Oh, you can't see, sorry. One second. So I'm using this. I'm using software called OBS, which this is definitely like a more like advanced thing that enables you to see what it is you're compositing, so that you're not just winging it. Like in here, like you can, so you can actually use this kind of like what like the weatherman would use when they're looking at so they can see what they're indicating to. It's kind of a similar thing where you're using the key, you're keying out your background and compositing in a different background. So, so for right now, I've got nothing there. See, my shirt is keyed out. So this is just an effect I've applied so that it's basically going to key out anything there. So if I add, let me see, did I save that image? Where did I put that image?
Go online and find an image?
Yeah, I mean, you could do, and there's so many sources of it. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier about like AI. I mean, with AI, you could actually like film yourself on here, upload a screenshot of just yourself on there, and say, hey, I want to, give me a background that's similar to that fits this, and then it'll actually like give you like the dimensions and things to do that. So, sorry. Well, that's the good thing about the AI generator is that, and then yeah, if you are using a copyrighted image, obviously you have to be careful of that, and depending on what the use of it is. If you're doing this just for fun, it's not something you have to worry about so much. But let me show you. Sorry, this is having a few fun technical things today. All right, so if I'm going to add in an image. Okay, we're going to say Italy, and I just have to pull it up from my browser. Where did I put that? Okay, so there's my new background. So I'm going to put that behind me. So there you go. Cool. So now, basically, Tim, can you zoom that in so we can get a better? So obviously, it's not a good example for me, but Mary, why don't you pop up? So now I'm just a floating head in Italy, like a god or something, like, hey, Zeus. Mary, why don't you get up there? And what you'll notice, actually, stand right here. So that was really good that you did that, because I want to point out this light is to light the background. These lights are to light her. So there's a couple of reasons if you want to do that. And the main one is, step forward a little more. So you don't want any of that light spilling on her from the background, because that light's just for the green screen. Normally I would have these lights closer to her, but because making room for you guys, it's a little different. So maybe go that way a little bit. There you go. So it's not she could be brighter, obviously. It's for, especially if we're trying to mimic the scene. But what's really neat is you see how it's like even her hair. I mean, reporting live from Piedmont or whatever, I don't know where that is. But you get the idea. Any questions about that part of like how that works while we're doing that? So if I turn this light off, obviously she looks totally different. If I was to turn, it also, what helps is, because it helps, you want to match her to the background, but also you want to make sure there's separation between the background, the physical, like green screen background, and her. And you'll notice that the light that's on here is, you can sit down if you want. This is just one light. There's lots of different ways you can light a green screen, but the key thing is, and this is where it gets really technical, that it's like a little over the top to try to go today, but you just want to light it evenly, because what you don't want, if the light, see this, like I have a big softbox, so the softbox just spreads the light out. If the light was more focused, then it would look really weird, in the green screen. I wish I should have brought another light out just to demonstrate that.
What happens if you don't light the green screen?
Well, you could, that's.
The image won't be as good then?
Yeah, so like, I actually have another sample I'm going to show you guys of something I did. I did this last night with my son, because he really wanted to be here at the green screen class, but he's in school. So I said, okay, I'll make your own green screen class. So he wanted to be a floating head. So I'm gonna show you how this works. Like I'm gonna turn this. Let me see if I just drop in. So I use Final Cut Pro. Just a heads up. If you have questions about the editor I use, I mean, every editing software has a keying feature to it, a special effect. There's even lots of free ones like CapCut that you can do it. So I just took this one video, and this is all it is. It's just, all I have is a piece of green foam paper I got at Michael's, and he's wearing my green shirt, the same one I'm wearing right now. And then so they're not even the same color green, okay? And with a simple effect, you can come up with this, so, and I did some fun stuff with his voice too. And so let me just do a quick, I'm trying to like pace myself and not go too fast for you guys, so I apologize if I am. I would like to cover like the actual production side of it, and then definitely spend some time in the editor like this, kind of showing you more of like just how to simply do it and some of the challenges you might face or little trial and error things you might come up with as you're learning how to do it. So, any questions so far about what we're doing here?
A question on the lighting.
Yeah.
I've worked with these lights before.
Yeah.
What setting do you use?
So you can, it's really just the main thing is making sure that your color temperature matches what's in the camera, so to make it look normal. Otherwise, it's gonna but it's really subjective sometimes. But for like a standard look of like what you're trying to go for, just make sure that it matches. So I've got these set to daylight at 5600. You could set it to 3200, but as long as the camera's set to the same temperature. Otherwise, it might look too warm or too cool. And
They should always match.
they should match. Yeah, yeah. And unless you're trying to, again, it's subjective because unless there's another look you're trying to go for where you're trying to make it look like the sun, like you're on the beach, you might have to play around with the light and do some, but the general principle is, yeah, you want it to match. Did you have a question, Mary?
No.
Okay.
Are these lights, can you adjust?
Yeah. So the how powerful? Yes. So they're bicolor, so you can adjust the Kelvin setting, which basically just means it's a color temperature of like how the I believe it's like the warmth or coolness of light is how it's measured, and then the intensity you can turn from like 0 to 100. So yeah, so I've got these pretty much cranked up at 100 right now. So they're definitely more of like a studio environment light. So if you're using outdoor, like if you're shooting something outside, you have to use a lot brighter lights. So let's see, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, so with the even lighting, the other part of that is, let's say that there was like some weird, shadow. Let's say like, actually, Mary, will you jump back up here for me? Let's have you stand like right underneath the light right here. Okay, let me pull this back up and see if we can show the difference of the effect. Okay, so now come back further a little bit. So now you can see like she's got two light sources on her, right? So she's got this light, which is catching her down here, but as she's getting closer to that light, she's getting this weird like light like back there. Now if you came all the way back, let's say you came all the way back to here, she just looks really like, extremely blown out, as what you call like just like overexposed. You want this to be bright to make it really crisp and clean in the editing software, so that it's like really, it's not struggling to figure out like, well, what's the background? Is that a chroma key I'm trying to key out? So
It's kind of cool.
yeah, but there's no like weird shadows or anything like that too, because what happens, like, let's say, how do I do this? How do I make a shadow here? I need like a flag or something. I need like a flag. The Apple box, yeah. Sorry, 1 second, guys. I know where it is. Yeah. Okay. So let's say we created a little, like some shadow, and I try to diffuse. Man, this light's so bright, it's not really doing it, is it? What I'm trying to do is create like a hard contrast of the light. It's not working. Okay. Anyway, sorry. But the problem, what you don't want is, you don't want shadows. You don't want a gradient of, if the light is not spread out evenly, what it does is one part of it's going to be darker, one part's going to be lighter, and you can still work with it in the editor, but it's just going to be harder. You're going to have a lot more work in post-production. So that's the key there. So how are you guys feeling about that?
Cool.
Should I jump into editor and kind of give you a quick little rundown of how that works? Okay.
Just to summarize,
Yeah.
the light should match your camera setting, which you said is about 5200.
Right.
Okay.
5600, yeah.
Oh, 56.
Yeah, I mean, it's all dependent on the light you're
Obviously,
using. And
adjust accordingly, but
Yeah.
here's your baseline.
yeah. So with my son's, let's see.
So do you need to use the OBS software?
No, the OBS is,
Live?
no, if you want to do live,
Yeah, kind of like what
Oh.
you just did.
Oh,
because
yeah.
a lot of it is obviously you can't really tell how it's gonna. I mean, you shoot something and then you go in and can add the green screen effect
Right.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Which is pretty easy to do.
Right.
But you don't fully know
Right.
how it's gonna look with
Right.
the lighting and stuff. You know.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, there's other things, and this is where this is what's hard about, there's other technical elements of video production that you have to some basics you need to learn, and part of that's just like, how to like expose properly your subject, the background, making sure that there's not like hot spots and things like that on there. But like once you kind of like get that part, the main thing is like, so I'll show you an example of like, with like my son, he, we'll go back to the original thing here. So you can see right here a couple places where his head kind of goes off of the green right there. So those are the kind of things you like. Obviously, this is extremely small background. Hopefully you're not working with that. But even I've worked on this screen before and had the subject closer to the edge, and their arm goes out. They do some big gesture that I didn't frame. I framed them mostly for standing like this, and they're talking, and for the most part they fit. But for whatever reason they go like this. And now their hand's like off, and so I have really only one option is to crop out their hand, right? So that's kind of like what I did with him, like making his head so much bigger is I'm cropping out that weird edge so that when he does lean over like that, see, it goes out of the frame. So there's ways you can work around it, but what's also important to realize, and I'm going to show you an example here of a video that I do every week with the city. And this is called This Week in Longmont. And so this video, it has a lot of different components to it in the background, you can see. But what I do is I start with the footage. Let's see, which one is this, 75? I'm going to just drop it in here in the beginning so you can see. So you'll notice he's not completely on the green. You'll notice there's a microphone and that softbox is above him. But what's great with the green screen is it doesn't matter, because as long as it's not covering or intersecting with the subject that you're filming, you're going to remove that anyway. So keying is going to remove the background. Okay. So what I'm going to do, just to give you a quick little thing here, is I'm going to go in Final Cut. It's just called. Let's see. I have to go to All Effects. So it's called green screen for short, but really it's a chroma key is the actual like name of the effect. Oops, I misspelled it. It's not green. So green screen keyer, that's it right here. And then I just drop this onto my clip, and it just pretty much automatically removes the background. Now, I'm working with a subject that has he's not wearing green, defined outline, so it works pretty good. Now, you'll see that it's not perfect, though. So actually, okay, sorry, let me go back here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to crop out this stuff that I don't need. Because I know his head's never going to go above that, so I don't need any of that there, right? And then same thing down here. Sorry, my editor's being weird. Oh, come on.
What editing software is this?
This is Final Cut. I'm just trying to get this little handle here. There we go. So I cropped out that part, so I don't need that. And what's also really great about green screen is like if anyone's ever worked with like a PNG file in when you're at photo editing or making a graphic of some kind, is it basically like I've just turned them into a PNG, because now what I can do, which is just a transparent, basically like a photo on a transparent background, is now I can do anything I want with them. See, I can move them around, I can make him bigger, and especially if you're shooting in a higher resolution, with like 4K, which I would recommend if you're going to be doing any kind of manipulation like this. I'm not losing, quality, and I can move him down here. I can make him a tiny little guy like this, and change his voice if I wanted to. So then you can have something on the screen, and then he's here. So now I'm going to blow him up a little bit more because I want to show you something that was interesting that happened. If I put this, So basically anything I put underneath this clip is going to be the background for him, okay? You can see it's not scaled up to the same size as he is, so I'll just change that really quick. Now, I don't know if you guys can see it on there, but maybe I can give you the best example. Is that working? On my side, he had, when I worked on this video earlier this week, his shirt, there was some green in his shirt. And so what it did was it basically turned him into like Swiss cheese. And so he had small, you could see the background going behind him, okay? And so those are the kind of things that you're gonna come up with. And each editor is gonna treat that, is gonna have different ways of tweaking that. Final Cut has a bunch of different ways. There's like fill holes, you control edge distance, which is basically just like the distance between the subject and the background. It's like, it's really thin, or you can make it go over. Spill level, which spill level is really neat. So basically what it's doing is, it's not only does it remove this background, it automatically detects green, because that's the typical chroma key background. You could use any other background, you could use blue or something like that, as long as it's very contrasted to what's in the subject. But what it also does is it's gonna, because light bounces, right? So even if you're filming in front of this green screen, this is another reason why the light is so important, because you're filling in that light so that if there's gonna be any bounce of this green screen on the subject, like that's not gonna get, let's just say for example, you had some green on your face, like bouncing off of this, the chroma might, the keyer might remove like flecks from your face. That's not good, right? I mean, maybe you want that, but I don't. So what the spill does is it's a way to automatically detects those kinds of things and removes them. But you can control that. It's very rare that you need that. And because the way I'm filming it, I'm not really dealing with that. Because obviously the way filming him, like I was filming you, the green is directly behind. The subject's facing the camera. But if, let's say I was working in a multi-dimensional green space, like say like a corner, like a nook or something, right? The light, it's like a lot more challenging, because now it's like a three-dimensional space you're having to, instead of a two-dimensional space you're having to light. So there's that potential for the light bouncing off because you're lighting the green screen. And as soon as I turn beyond 90 degrees, I'm introducing the opportunity for that to bounce off my face. So again, these are things that just get really technical, and I don't want to get too in the weeds with them unless you guys want me to, but yeah, is there any, just since we're started here with this, who has questions about just applying the effect, using that like that so far?
I had a question on
Yeah.
just in general, if you're say you're doing a concert here.
Yeah.
And the idea is to put the band in Carnegie Hall.
Sure.
Like that. Do you have to worry about the green being on the floor as well?
No, I mean, as long as you, again, if you light it correctly and everything, I haven't, we have this is called a sweep, where it comes down like this. That's my only, I haven't done a full floor green screen thing before, but if I have someone standing on here and it's lit properly like I've demonstrated, then you have nothing to worry about. It's gonna key it out. Obviously with something like that, when you start introducing a background and a floor, you have to it's up to you to make sure that, let's say that the background of Carnegie Hall that you have as your plate, as we would call it, let's say if the camera's straight on like that, or maybe it's shot from the balcony. That means for your subject to look like he fits in that position, they have to also be shot in the similar angle to make it match. Yeah, because especially if you're looking at something, let's say you're looking at a square, the lines are going to be straight on the left and the right, the vertical lines. But as soon as you start going down like that, putting your camera lower or higher, those lines do this, right? So that's going to affect how things look. Perspective, yeah. Anybody else? Questions about that?
I mean, how does that work if you're obviously if you're doing a full body green screen, if you just put one image and someone's walking back and forth, it may not look the most realistic. If you might have to is there's that three-dimensionality to it,
Yeah, I mean so you bring up a good point, because what I'm showing you right now, these are static images, static backgrounds.
Yeah.
And obviously for video, you have a subject that's moving. Supposedly if the subject's moving through any real space, the background would be moving too. So yeah, that's a great point. Let me show you, I'll show you a quick example of a video that we did for the city back in, was that last summer? Let me see. Yeah, sorry if it's not clear, guys.
No, you're good.
Let me see. Okay, so this was, this is Longmont. I should have just pulled this up on my computer. There we go. So this is something that we filmed here in the studio. And some of it we planned ahead with knowing what we were going to be in the background and other things. Well, we didn't. This was actually, I hope this works.
Museums.
So I'll just show you the whole thing and then we can talk about some of it. Not everything is on green screen. No.
The Longmont Museum's newest hands-on exhibit is now open. And build, design, and create with Lego. Visitors can build and race a Lego car, tackle an architectural challenge, save the world with a wondrous invention, or explore and play as far as their imagination takes them. Whether you're a seasoned Lego enthusiast or just discovering the magic of these iconic bricks, there's something for everyone to enjoy. The exhibit also showcases a gallery of intricate and imaginative custom Lego creations crafted by regional artists. Families and adults alike are taking advantage of the value of museum members.
So these are also, I realize they're static, but except for, let's see, where is it? This one. So this shot, the background, it's not that the background's moving. Oh, where'd he go? Oh, you're right there. The background isn't moving in the sense of like someone moving through space.
Build and race a
but-
Lego car?
If you notice like her hair blow like that, like there is like some marrying of the two to create like a connection of the motion there. The challenge with doing anything like that where you have like moving space is that, and so I've seen people do this, we don't have one yet, but a treadmill. So you could have like say some footage of like say a car driving through a space like a road or something, and then you film someone on a treadmill running, and then you put them together, and it looks like they're running down the road. Especially because you don't have to show their feet, right? You can show them like waist up or legs, thighs up, that kind of thing. So there's different ways of doing it. One of the reasons you would want to use a treadmill instead of just like say running back and forth on the set. Can anyone think of why that would be a challenge? Well, the background's going to be replaced anyway, so that doesn't really matter.
Not enough space.
Lighting.
Oh, yeah.
Because what happens is, right now if I have these lights on me perfectly this way, the more I go this way, I'm losing that light, and I'm getting closer to this light. So it can be done. You have to have a lot more consideration for those things. So for example, if I was going to do something like that in here, you would just need a lot of light if you were trying to mimic that. And especially if you were trying to recreate like a scene. Obviously in that kind of example, seeing your background, the video you're going to composite in later, knowing what it looks like is going to help you with deciding. And that's where things like OBS would really
Is that
come in
what
handy.
you guys did for that video
Yeah.
to see it live? Because
Yep.
obviously she was like walking on
Exactly.
tiny legs,
Yep.
so
Yeah. So she was literally just,
You can make sure the positioning was probably right.
yeah, she was literally just walking right here, just at an angle. So just to mimic that. And then this one was the harder one, was the
Explore
catapult.
and play as far as their imagination takes them.
And basically what it was is we had to, if you go slow, it's like, it doesn't look as good as when it goes faster, but
Explore and play as far as their imagination takes them.
it's basically just a transition from her standing to like going over like this. And then we actually had a table, which we put a green tablecloth on, and then had her lay on the table, like, basically like from here up. So then her torso and everything else would look like that. The city, we actually did another video with the city that was a jetpack video. Let me show you that really quick. And this is definitely one where, so when you saw her flying through there, she wasn't actually obviously moving through space. That's just a keyframing thing of tracking her. So you're basically like making her look bigger and bigger and bigger. So it looks like it's like a trick to make her look like she's getting closer and closer to the screen.
How does Longmont custodial staff clean over 1.2 million square feet of city facilities? Well, they have a secret.
So, same thing, just laying on a table. So there's lots of different ways. Obviously, we don't have wireframes and things like they would use, like in Hollywood, yet.
And then on the software, you're just moving them around.
You have
through
to,
the frame, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah. So you have to keyframe all that movement to make it look like they're actually moving. Yeah, so it's can be very time consuming.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm curious, like, what your guys' interests are and like how you anticipate using it, so that I can maybe best give you some practical tips and advice on how to do that.
I'm just trying to learn anything I can on
Yeah.
a daily basis.
Yeah, I know you're like a sponge, Mary. I know. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't really know how I'm going to use this, but I figure it was a good skill just to
Yeah.
have, and I know eventually I will use it for something.
Yeah.
So.
I think a lot of people don't like they don't even think about it because maybe they think it's. I know I did for a long time. I thought it was gonna be too hard, and then once I did it for the first time, just messing around, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like this is actually a lot of fun, and it creates new possibilities in your mind, you know. So that's, if anything, even if you don't have an idea yet, like I guarantee you, like, you know, tomorrow you're gonna wake up like, wait a minute, I could do this, you know. So, you know, this is just the background removal. There's like a whole other level of where you could actually I did not order it in time. We were going to have it for this, but you could do like a green screen glove, for example, and then you could like make an object, hold something, and have it just like moving through space, and then just key out your arm. That's another thing. People have full green screen bodysuits where they do the same thing. Like I've seen this with like dancers, and they'll make that girl. You've seen that? You know what I'm talking about? And she like all of a sudden she just floats away, you know, and all it is just someone picking her up and going like this, you know? Yeah. So. Yeah, there's a lot. It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with it, and then then layering it. I mean, you green screen the background out, then you green screen something else, and then again, like you have all these elements now that you can move and change. So
Maybe something like Back to the Future. You
Uh-huh.
go in, and then all of a sudden I'm in a 1920s costume, and then get back in, and then I'm in a 40s, whatever.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've even done things like there's like a green screen background thing you can do on your phone, so that like, let's say you're filming a video on your phone and you need to like have something display like an app on your phone, you just basically like composite that in like a clean or green screen, so it's like you don't have to worry about the glare and other things like that. People do it. There's this there's a thing that's shot here every Thursday, and they built like a whole scene where it looks like there's like a window that's out, like so it's supposed to be like they're in Athens or something. So you've got the Acropolis in the background, like he's supposed to be like in this classroom. It's supposed to be like in Athens, and then there's like another like a framed picture that they just composite in like a different picture, like a different piece of art, like every time, you know. So you can, which there's some reasons you don't need to do that, because you could just take an image and just impose it anyway. But what's nice about the green is it just creates like a really clear part to help you composite that. So it's not necessarily always about removing, but it's also just like referencing too.
Yeah, I mostly specialize in concert photography, videography,
Oh, okay.
stuff like that. Do a lot of artist, promotions and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So I see a lot of use for those kind of stuff.
Yeah. Did anyone ever see, there was let's see, the Queen of England wore this like before she died. She wore this green screen dress, and people just like, they went to town and they just made all these funny, composited all these funny designs on her and stuff. So there's more than one way to use a green screen.
I don't think she would like that.
Oh yeah, I
She's
mean,
very proper.
There was one, I don't see it. There was one someone put corgis all over it. I thought that was my favorite one. Star Trek, yeah. So, yeah. So you get the idea. All right.
Mention that it doesn't matter what kind of green you have. Is there a standard like web color or something like that?
You know, I don't know what it's called. This one, I believe we painted, was just canvas that we painted. That's the pop-up green over there. I mean, I could show you, like when I showed you my son, that video I did with my son, I mean, that one was, you know, you could, it was like 2 different color greens. And what is really neat about that is that even if they don't match, or, I mean, if you look at it, like his shirt has, what happened? Come on. His shirt has like folds in it and things like that, right? So if I add the keyer, you know, in there, oh, what's weird? Did it made his shirt green? What happened there? Huh? Did I not do it? Oh, I did. Okay. Oh, there we go. So it's kind of like confused. So what you can do is you can sample the color. So now I can go over here, and it should key that out. There we go. You see? And it just like, they were close enough that it matched. So it's like, it's not that like finicky. It actually like I mean, in my experience, the software works pretty great. I mean, you saw his shirt, how wrinkled it was and all folded. And you can kind of see, oh yeah, let me blow that up.
So wrinkles don't fully matter then?
Well, they do, because you can still see it like there. But it doesn't, but that's because it's a shadow, basically. That's what happened. That's why you're seeing it, right? It's because it's whenever there's shape like this, the light is not catching and it's not filling that space. So then now it changes the color, the gradient. it'd be really tedious, you know, like if I wanted to, I could go into that shot and I could sample that part too, but he's going to move again. I mean, we could try it, but it's just, you know, so generally, if you use that's the great thing about this being like a heavy canvas, you don't have to worry about wrinkles. With a curtain, curtain. And I've worked on big sets where we've done that, and we had a big set, and it was so tedious to get it out because it was supposed to be like this big blue sky, and like there's no wrinkles in the sky, right? So that stands out. I've never tried this. Let me see if I can get this color. I can get that color out. Let's see, did that work? Not completely, but
Too bad you can't take your finger and just go
yeah.
like a touch screen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can edit on iPads and stuff and do some of these things. So there are some touchscreen options there. So I don't know why it's doing this, but you can see how the keyer is like, it's confused in the beginning and then it works. So, and you can see his hair, a little bit of his hair, how it's on there, like that. Let me show you how that, if I go in, it's okay, hopefully you guys can see that better. So part of that is spill. So I changed so I can reset this parameter. And then edge distance, and then there's like if you had say something like on his shirt, you could fill that. But you can see how just manipulating these things can change the edge distance is for his hair. It's not perfect, but and there's spill. There's a lot of different tools with how you can adjust it. So, yeah, ideally you don't. It's like that's one of the reasons I wore a hat today, because like ideally you don't want to have like flyaways and like that. It's possible. Like for blonde hair on green, it could be really hard. That's where like a different color is good if you have blonde hair, because it's more likely to reflect that green, and it's harder to get it out all the way. Yeah, he's blonde. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah, so you can do color. There's a whole way you can use actually fine tune the color as well in there. So.
Where's the green curtain? I haven't seen that.
It's folded up. Yeah, we don't
You
have it.
have to like pull it individually.
Yeah, you have to manually. You can like
Is that
just.
the one we just got?
No, we've had it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you have to manually replace the black curtain with the green one.
Yeah, I forget. Do they? Is that what they do? They replace the black?
They replaced that one.
Oh.
what's Phil talking
Yeah.
about buying?
Oh, I think that's a new green screen.
A new one that
Well-
wraps around double.
Yeah, because this one, the motor, it's motorized, and the motor burned out last year, and Phil fixed it. But we used to have 2 rolls on there, a gray backdrop as well, but we weren't able to get that one fixed too.
I
So
think Phil's taking care of it because we have what, $5,000 budget or something that's. ready to
someone,
apply.
yeah, someone, a generous member donated that to get our green screen replaced. Yeah.
Now, are there certain colors that you've seen in your experience that just don't work well with the green screen?
Like clothing.
Something like that?
No, I mean, as long as, yeah, I mean, because again, you can sample it out if, let's say, if there was any kind of conflict, which it's not, unless it's like, it has to be like really close to that green for it to really be a problem. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's times,
You want that effect too.
yeah, and there,
That's not-
I have noticed sometimes with like patterned shirts, every now and then, there's like little flecks maybe, again, you just use the fill on there. But other than that, yeah, no, there's nothing, no real serious challenges with that. Did you guys anyone want to try anything, or so we have everything set up? We can.
How much time do we have?
Okay, about 10 minutes. So I was trying not to like fire hose, but now I feel like I'm.
Can somebody other than me stand up there so I can?
do it.
Sure.
put your-
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
Let me-
Right here.
Yeah. Let's see. We can.
Love that t-shirt.
Oh, thank you.
So cool.
Yeah, we could even add in like. Let's add in a different video. Add in there for you. Where was that? Let's see. Let's try that one. There you go. So now he's on the beach. So try to walk forward closer to those lights. Yeah, so then. Yeah, then you got your head in the softbox. That's when you have to. So those are things you have to be aware of, but you have to move to the side. Like if you turned around, it could be like you're walking towards. What happened? It just disappeared. It's like you're walking towards the shore, right?
Oh, yeah.
See?
I like
Now
that.
I'm like walking away.
Oh, you walked in the sun.
That kind of works. Like, oh, I'm walking on the beach. Let's see. Yeah.
Contemplating your future.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me try a different one.
And if you wanted to use the OBS here, do you guys have like does LPM have computers and stuff with that? That would be fun.
That's a good question. We haven't had that come up that I'm aware of. Like we use them a lot for things, but I've never had someone like ask. You better watch out.
Try to be a member.
That's funny.
Yeah. Watch out for the cars. So. Yeah, I need to find a back. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I should have thought of a background that's like moving more, like through, so you're like moving through space. I want to try that now. Let me see if I can.
What do you mean moving? Like the background that's actually.
Yeah. Let me see. How would you even look for that? Like. Let's see.
Ideally, you have like a shot
Yeah. Oh, here we go. This might work. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Come on. Yeah, this one should be fun. Here, let's see if this works. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh, made it too big. There we go. Oops. Okay, so now I just have to move that one.
Now start running. Place.
I don't know why it does that. Here we go. So obviously, yeah, you could slow it down, right? I mean, it's like it's not.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of convincing. I mean, a very fast runner.
Well, and I think too, it's like the scale. Yeah, let's try it backwards. Does that make sense? No, I think it's the other way. Yeah, no.
Wait, which way?
No, I think facing the camera. Yeah. I think, yeah. But it's like a scale thing too, right? You just like you can adjust the size of the person, the size of the background. So yeah, it's just a short. Unfortunately, it's just a short clip. That's why I need to see if I can play it on loop.
The light actually looks somewhat convincing too.
Right?
For that shot.
Let's see. Well, there's a way to loop it. I don't use OBS enough to know how to loop it, but anyone else want to run on camera? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, possibilities, it's endless. It's like once you learn some of these things, it's just like you can come up with all kinds of different ideas. Yeah.
So, can you do something like that? Like if,
What do you mean?
well, if you're holding a pose and then you
Uh-huh.
just do a background behind it anyway.
Yeah.
You can change all the backgrounds, right?
Yeah. I mean, the challenge with like that particular shot is like standing on rocks. So you'd want to you'd have to have like a green screen, like rocks or something to kind of make sure that you have, something that matches. That's like saying before, like that's the challenge is like if you're trying to match the background, foreground, or the ground, and the subject, you just have to balance all those elements together. Yeah.
So if you were doing the treadmill thing hypothetically, would
Yeah.
you have to have a green screen treadmill?
You know, I've seen people do that. Yeah, I've seen people actually like spray paint a treadmill or even with like a roller, like paint it green.
Yeah.
So I mean, I found some treadmills for like $100 online. I'm like tempted to like try it, but I'm like, well, maybe we'll just try like just keeping it off camera first and just to get the motion of it. But yeah, I mean, I've seen it done where you can look. It looks like, but it's not. Walking on a treadmill is not the same as necessarily as walking on the ground. So that's probably the hardest part is like, it's almost like, is it worth all that trouble to composite to make it look like you're walking on the ground,
Just go outside.
Yeah, because you think about it, like if you're walking, yeah, you'd have to be walking like on a road maybe, or something that's like a similar surface. It wouldn't really work like walking on the beach, for example, because then your feet would be leaving tracks in the sand, right?
So it's like the sort of thing with the green screen where like everything has to be green if you want it removed. Whenever.
Right.
If you don't want it removed,
right.
It can be any color.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you had a blue screen, same thing.
Yep.
Anything blue.
Yeah.
I feel like you see a lot of blue screens on movie sets sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just depends on what the scene, like what the subjects in the scene are. Obviously, if there's a lot of like green stuff in the scene, it would make sense to have a blue screen, you know, for the
But
background.
then again, if there's blue sky and blue water, you
Right.
want a blue screen.
Right. Exactly. So. Yeah.
It's crazy cool.
Crazy,
Yeah.
so I like that.
Thanks for coming, guys, and checking it out. Yeah, I mean, we've got, thank you. We've got Final Cut, we have Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve. We have all the editing software here if you wanted to use it. There's all kinds of free ones you can get on your computer or your even your mobile devices. And so if you need any help with setting those things up or making it work, just stop in, and we're happy to help you with these projects. If you want to come in here and play, let us know too. You can book some time in the studio and
When your son's off school.
yeah.
Get a little partner.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, thanks so much, guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm happy
you.
to answer any more questions. Feel free.
I do have one question. So, I was at the senior